Good afternoon. I have no announcements, so I'm ready to take your questions. Charlie.
Mike, has Nimitz left yet for Taiwan? Has the GW gone through the Suez? Is it preparing to do it?
Charlie, I'm going to stay away from play-by-plays on the ship movements, but I will give you kind of, once again, the overall perspective of what is going to happen. You know, of course, the Independence Battle Group is presently operating near Taiwan, and that battle group includes the cruiser Bunker Hill, which is actually, as of late last week, and still as of today, is south of Taiwan. Independence itself is operating with O'Brien, as the ship was late last week, as well as the destroyer Hewitt and the frigate McCluskey. So those ships are on scene. Now, what we have said is that by the end of next week, the Nimitz battle group, which has been operating in the Persian Gulf area, will be moving into the Western Pacific. And that battle group is composed of the aircraft carrier Nimitz, as well as the cruiser Port Royal, the destroyers Callahan and Ollendorf, the frigate Ford, the submarine Portsmouth, and then there are the underway replenishment ships Willamette and Shasta. Before Nimitz departs, the area of operations of the Central Command commander, and you probably have maps that we passed out here about a month ago that shows what that area is. Before Nimitz departs that area, the aircraft carrier George Washington, which is presently operating in the central Mediterranean but is heading in an eastward direction, will have passed into the Central Command area of operation. And again, I'm not going to tell you exact dates when that's going to occur, but this is a carefully orchestrated move on the part of a lot of units.
Mike, you all didn't say that it would be in the in the Pacific by the end of next week. What you said is it would be there by next week.
By next week.
Can you tell us, do you expect the Nimitz will depart by this weekend or within a matter of days?
Again, I don't want to pinpoint, but it will be after or as the George Washington is moving into the Central Command area of responsibility. The Nimitz will be departing that area.
Well, there's only one way you could do that, is come down to the Suez and to the Red Sea if it's moving eastward in the Med.
The George Washington, that's correct.
I beg your pardon, the GW.
That's right. Nimitz will be departing out the other side of the Central Command area of responsibility, which is in the Indian Ocean.
We can assume that there will not be any delay as the GW moves, that it will move quickly through Suez and into that.
That's correct.
Captain Doubleday,
yes.
Some U.S. officials have said that these ships are intended to send a clear signal. I'm a little fuzzy on what that signal is. Could you clarify exactly the signal that these ships,
the signal that these ships are sending is one of precaution and reassurance. Precaution because we want to make sure that there is no miscalculation on the part of Beijing as to our very firm interests in that region of the world. Reassuring because we want our friends in the area to know that we have a large stake in the stability and the peace in that region.
But are you saying then that they're signaling a willingness of the United States to come to the defense of Taiwan if attacked?
They are signaling again the fact that we want to make sure that there is no miscalculation on the part of the Chinese as to our interests in that area, and we want to reassure our friends in the region that we will maintain an interest in both the peace and the stability in that region.
Well, again, will the United States use those ships to come to the defense of Taiwan if China attacks Taiwan?
Say that one more time.
Will the United States use those ships to defend Taiwan if China attacks Taiwan? You say
Charlie, I am not going to get into hypotheticals. I think you've heard every senior administration official address that issue, and that we would view with very grave concern any attempt on the part of the Chinese to settle the issue of one China with Taiwan by any other than peaceful means. But I also want to point out, Charlie, that there has been absolutely no indication that the Chinese have any intention of doing anything other than than settling their differences by peaceful means.
Then why are two carrier groups needed?
Well, again, I think you have seen many administration officials say that we want to make sure that the Chinese don't miscalculate our interests in that region and our intentions. And so we are going to signal by the move of these ships our interests, and hopefully that will communicate in a way that words cannot exactly how strong our interests are.
Mike, you may have covered this before I came in, if so I apologize. The makeup of the Independence Carrier Battle Group, and also what does China have? What does she have on the water, underneath, and in the air? Have you covered that? Or
I have not covered that, nor will I cover that. What I can do, though, is to tell you what the United States has. I'll go through the Indy one. I have gone through earlier a rundown on all of the ships, but the Indy Battle Group has been operating in the international waters basically between Okinawa and Taiwan for, almost a week now. Independence is operating with the destroyer O'Brien. The cruiser in that battle group, which is USS Bunker Hill, is actually positioned south of Taiwan. And the destroyer Hewitt and the frigate McCluskey have also joined the Independence battle group in that area.
Can you tell us
Yeah.
anything just in a general nature about whether or not these live fire exercises announced by China in fact began today, and on what kind of scale?
The only thing that I can do at this point for you, Jamie, is to confirm that indeed it appears that the exercises have commenced. I can't go any further than that at this point.
Can you even say whether they were approximately the scale which China announced, or were they affected at all by bad weather, or have any indication?
The only thing that I will say on that is that at the start of the exercise, not surprising, the scale of the exercise was limited.
forgive my naivete, but why won't you share with us what we could potentially be up against, what China has in the water?
Well, at this point, Ivan, I think it would be premature to say what the scope of the exercise is going to be, because the exercise hasn't occurred yet.
We know what's out there. We know what's been offshore there for a week or so. Do they have any submarines, or what kind of air cover, or, what kind of missiles are they firing? I mean, and we don't have to do it here, but can you arrange maybe a general...
Ivan, I think we ought to wait until the exercise has taken place, and then we'll see if we can't get you a little rundown. Yeah, Mark.
Is it true that the U.S. wanted to move up the Air Force's deployment to Jordan, which is now scheduled for mid-April? Wanted to move it up earlier, and that in fact they could not get diplomatic clearance from Jordan.
Well, I know that there has been some discussion, or there was some discussion about having the Air Expeditionary Force move earlier, but ultimately the decision was made to use the carrier assets instead. So the AEF deployment is presently on track as we announced it last week.
But did we ask Jordan to...
I can't get into that.
Can you comment on whether
Let
these...
me just get...
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, the Taiwanese officials say that Nimitz will sail through the Taiwan Straits approximately on the day of the elections, which is March the 23rd. Could you confirm that?
No, I won't confirm the course that the ship is going to take. I will say, though, that in the past there have been carriers that have gone through there. In fact, Nimitz was one of them. but I'm not going to plot out the course that Nimitz is going to take this time.
You didn't list a submarine with the Independence battle. Was that an
That's
oversight?
correct.
Or is-
I listed a submarine with the Nimitz battle group, but I did not list one with the Independence battle group.
Can you comment on the Washington Times report this morning about the Pentagon's evaluation of the Chinese military's capability in the next few years?
No, I saw that report, but I'm not in a position to offer anything further.
Is there a declared date in which the George Washington will transit the Suez Canal, which is a public matter?
There may be, but I think normally those declarations are made very close to the time that the transit occurs, and so I'm not going to announce it in advance.
Aside from the 3 missiles that were launched on Friday, have there been any other missile tests conducted in the Strait of
No,
Taiwan?
they're not.
And can you tell us whether or not these exercises have disrupted, or to what extent they've disrupted shipping or air traffic in the region?
To my knowledge, the impact on shipping and air traffic in the region has been minor. That is to say, some commercial shipping has had to be rerouted because of the areas that have been designated for the live fire and for the missile exercises. But for the most part, the commercial shipping and the commercial aircraft movements have gone on unabated.
You said that Bunker Hill is south of Taiwan. Has the United States any ships in the Strait of Taiwan?
No, we have none in the strait.
3 missiles, Mike, were they silkworms or something else? And what was the evaluation of, did they all fire?
My understanding is all of them were M9s.
Medium range?
The range is about 600 kilometers.
Congressman Frank Murkowski said yesterday that he was told by U.S. intelligence officials that one of these missiles entered Taiwanese airspace. Can you tell us now if that's correct?
No, I can't at this point. Yes.
Did you discuss the sending of the Nimitz to the Taiwan area too? Did you tell the Chinese about this? Did you give them any prior notice?
To my knowledge, there was no prior notification to the Chinese since, other than the fact that the units are going to be operating in that region of the world, there's really nothing that should affect their exercises.
But did you tell the Taiwanese?
The Taiwanese? I don't know that we communicated that to the Taiwanese either.
Does the United States have any military personnel at all on Taiwan itself?
I'd have to take that question. I am not aware of any, but I frankly, I don't know the answer to that. Let's see if we can get you an answer.
Can you tell us, or could you take the question of when Taiwan is supposed to take delivery of U.S. F-15s?
I'll have to take that one too. I don't know the answer to that.
If you might be willing to take. It's a simple
That's
one.
two.
In today's Washington Times report that was referred to earlier, there was a statement made that China had 12 long-range intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of reaching the United States. Could you just tell us if that's an accurate U.S.
Let me
estimate
get-
of China's capability?
Let me see if we can get you something on that one too. I believe that that is not correct.
Did those missiles that
Wait
were...
just 1 second. Ivan?
The TRA, Taiwan Relations Act of '79, which apparently is a current document, I'm a little cloudy. State at least implied that if there is any aid to Taiwan, it will be in the form of weapons, hardware, tactics, intelligence, but not U.S. personnel. Am I correct in that or incorrect in that? Because if we have 2 carrier battle groups over there, it seems logical that if there was any kind of activity, it would involve U.S. personnel.
Again, Ivan, I think it's inappropriate to discuss scenarios or to discuss in any kind of detail contingencies that might have to be put into play later. What we have said is that we would view with very grave concern any kind of action on the part of the Chinese, which ran contrary to their stated goal of settling the one China issue with Taiwan by peaceful means.
Did those 3 missiles that were fired last week, the M9 missiles, did they land in the designated target areas in international waters?
Yes, they did.
Thank you.